This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this will be like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart, and wherever you receive podcasts from. Would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, leave a rating and a brief written review. It will enable other excellent people just like you to be able to locate this podcast. I hope you're having a good day. I want to talk to you about minimizing. There's a great movement of minimalism, of paring things down to its barest essence, especially in the culture and the part of the world where I live, where there is so much accumulation and so much junk. And I've entitled it, Minimize is really the way to maximize your leadership. If you don't think this is a problem, you just need to drive through any neighborhood in the United States where there will be 3-car garages attached to the home, and yet no one can park their car inside because their garages are filled with junk. And if they're in the part of the world where they can have a basement, the basement will be filled with stuff. The attic will be filled with stuff. Our closets are filled with clothes that don't fit and or we just don't wear. We seem to all have a little bit of a spirit of a hoarder. And you're going to discover as you get more mature in age that none of your children or grandchildren really want much of your stuff, if they want any of it at all. And yet we spend our lives on accumulating and hoarding rather than giving it away. I think I want to start there right now. Why don't you begin as a leader to change your mindset from just, I'm going to learn, I'm going to get better, which is important, but into this mindset of, these years that I have left, I'm going to pass on things I have learned. I'm not going to be as focused on accumulating knowledge and wisdom and stories. I'm going to do my best to pass on other information. I think minimalism is this idea to create some margin, to create some space in our lives. And in order to grow and in order to take our eyes off of all the things that we're involved with, you have to pare things down. You have to get lighter, as the saying goes. One of the crucial benefits is if I'm not managing a bunch of stuff, much of it, if not a great percentage of it, is of valuable, really long-term worth. It forces me to be able, it doesn't force me, it allows me rather, to invest in others and to help others around me grow. I think we have become in this culture in love with quantity over quality. We figure if I can't have quality, then I'll have a lot of tchotchkes, I'll have a lot of junk, and therefore it will more than make up for what I may indeed lack in quality, and the world does not work that way. That's not how it works. And so if you want to truly be a minimalist, you have to change your mindset from one of accumulation and gathering things to, I'm only going to take on that which has quality, that which has some utilitarian purpose, that which will make a difference. Well, another way that minimalism and to minimize in life can help you to maximize is, at the very least, when you begin a minimalization activity of, I'm going to pare down the closets, the garage, the storage units, I've got to get lighter. You begin to make prioritizing a habit. As long as you have space to accumulate everything, nothing is really important. You just have a bunch of stuff. But if you're only going to save room for so much of any one item that you can collect or hold on to, you're going to have to start prioritizing. And because of, in my country, the Availability of space, either in our homes or storage units, and just right by where I live, which is in a somewhat residential and school area, there are one or two you store it units that are going up overnight, and we have dozens of them already in the greater community where I live, because people are just storing and storing and storing. So if you begin to say, I have to pare down, I have to come up with some format of what's important and what's not, you're beginning to model, not just for yourself, but certainly for others, that you have to prioritize. You gotta clean out the clutter in your life, and one of the first places to start is in your mind. And you have to get the proverbial dust off of there are things that you will not throw away, but you have not even touched, looked at, or thought about in 10 years. How can it be a priority if you can go 10 years without looking, touching, or discussing it? Now, for some of us, you're going to have to call a therapist or a counselor in to help you walk through this very painful process. I have never watched the television program Hoarders, but I certainly do know them. And so one of the reasons you need to go through this exercise is for the fact it helps you to begin to prioritize the things in your life. And when you prioritize things in your life, then you'll be able to prioritize and cast what's important in your family's life, your business, and other sorts of areas. One other thing is you will learn to develop patience, because it is a painful process. I have a high school yearbook that I literally have not opened in 15 to 18 years. I'm thinking of just digitizing the few pictures in there that are meaningful and throwing the yearbook away. I have college yearbooks from when I not only was a college student, but for all the years that I've been on the board of trustees, and they are like lifting barbells when they're in a box. Again, we live in a digital world where much of that can be digitalized. All of you who have shoe boxes and other boxes filled with photographs, one of the greatest gifts you could give yourself or someone in your family could give you is to go and get that all digitized. Therefore, it won't be a suspect of floods and fires. It'll be forever safe. Just have a really difficult conversation. Ask yourself the statement that I just made. When was the last time this significant thing that you can't part with, that you've thought about it, you've looked at it, you've touched it, or you've read it, or you referenced it? And depending on your age, there are going to be some of you that you will have things stored away in your house you haven't looked at in years, and for some of us, decades. You need to have patience with yourself. It becomes stressful because we don't want to deal with things. I think the hoarding and storage is really symptomatic of the lack of the ability all of us have, including myself, of making decisions, because we can't make the decision. I should keep this, there's sentiment, and I'm not talking about throwing away your children's grade report cards or pieces of artwork. But friends, your children's grades and pieces of artwork do not take 3 bays in a garage, a basement, an attic, and a storage unit. Let's be real. Much of the stuff we are hauling and around with us really isn't all that meaningful to us. Because I come from the world of being a clergy person and have conducted many funerals, we all have an inside joke, and that is, you've never seen a U-Haul attached to the hitch of a hearse at a cemetery. When you go without any of your tchotchkes, any of your things that you think are really important. And so as you go through this, you'll learn to develop patience with yourself, which will give you patience with others. I think when we can get our eyes off of all the stuff, it makes us, or puts us rather, in a better position to relate to others and to build relationships. I think if you start getting rid of things, what you'll notice about your clothes closet is this. Out of all of the dozens and dozens and dozens of pieces of clothing you have, you wear about 6 to 7 outfits over and over again. I think when we begin to minimize, declutter our mind, our closets, our storage units, then the minimizing helps us to maximize some things. It's interesting to me that many people who really have emphasized minimalism are also people who are into wellness, who are into proper eating and nutrition and how to take care of their body and how to rest their mind and how to read and how to refresh their spirit. And wellness, like minimalization, it's going to take time. You're going to have fits and starts. You're not going to be able to run the race perfectly. I think when we have a decluttering of our office, our home, our life, I think it helps us then to have the proper perspective and the adequate amount of time to really build relationships. You can't shepherd all of your stuff. You need to shepherd your family, your community. You need to build some lasting items into your organization. And therefore, if you're worried about all of the accumulation of stuff, if you don't think this happens, just notice that when a matriarch or patriarch of a family passes away, oftentimes there's much arguing and fighting over stuff. And the stuff becomes more a priority than people are. I think one of the greatest things in leadership when you minimize to maximize is you'll have a maximum amount of time, you'll have the maximum amount of space, and you'll have the maximum amount of emotional energy to do things that really, really matter. You'll quit putting them off. You'll quit saying, tomorrow I'll get around to it. You'll have some time to think, because a lot of places, a space where we need to get rid of some things is in our mind. And so exercise emotional intelligence. Learn to know yourself. Don't hold on to things that are inconsequential. Learn to self-regulate. And if you have too much stuff, it's time now to start downsizing. Learn to have empathy. When you can focus on the situation at hand at work or wherever, you'll be able to exercise great empathy towards others and what they're doing and what they are going through. Let's start a smart sprint or a little race or a little something to do. How about in the next week you spend 10 minutes, just 10 minutes a day for 5 days? You can start at your closet, you can start in your office, your home office, you can start in your garage, your attic, your basement, or even a storage unit that you're paying over $100 a month for storing things that you don't even really remember what all's in the storage unit. Make a commitment that for 10 minutes a day, you're going to begin decluttering, and you're going to get lighter, and you're going to minimize all of the stuff and all of the distractions and all of the things that are always weighing on your mind. You get yourself loose from some of those things, you will have more time. You'll be able to maximize time and space for others, for your calling, for your hobbies, for your side gigs, to be better at what you are trying to accomplish, to perhaps take a course, to do some things that you've always wanted to do. So make a commitment, my friends, that you're going to take 10, maybe 15 minutes. Don't make it hours, because it'll become so overwhelming, because most of us, including Dr. Ron, have some stuff that needs to go, and it can be overwhelming. So let's minimize time, because 10 minutes of doing this a day, 15 minutes a day for several days. The 10 minutes doesn't seem like much, but we talk about the compound effect and the slight edge. If we take positive actions incrementally and consistently over time, it will lead to outsized results. In other words, if you minimize the things that you're holding on to, you will be able to maximize your efforts, and you'll be able to maximize your focus, and you'll be able to maximize your leadership capacity. Why don't you try this today? You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope today this has been like a vitamin or supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom? leave a brief written review and a rating. It'll be very, very helpful. It will enable other excellent people just like you to be able to locate this podcast. This is Dr. Ron saying to you, until next time, remember, you are doing better than you think you are. You really, truly are. And until next time, have a great and blessed day.